Hey everyone! Welcome back to our Emotional Telepathy show on the YouTube channel of Sunset Station. In this episode, I'm going to share a really simple method based on some fundamental principles. The goal of this method is to help you find a career or a vocation that you can pursue year after year and still feel motivated and fulfilled. It means you're still interested and want to do it, not just sticking with it because of bills and responsibilities. Just because you haven't found your ideal career yet doesn't mean there isn't one out there. If you put in the effort to explore, you will find it. This guide will show you how to search, and I want to emphasize that my main goal in sharing this is to help you learn a really simple technique that can assist you in discovering a career that aligns with your interests. You'll do what you want to do year after year, and you know it. It's a career you'll stick with. Just like a lot of people out there who love what they do so much they don't even want to go home or take a break, right? Of course, I'm not saying we should be those people who are obsessed with work to the point of it being unhealthy. That's a bit much. But we all believe that our careers play a really important role in our lives. Our lives, right? If you think about it, most of us are just grinding away from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Let's just say that's 8 hours, which is a third of your life in a day spent working. And if that job isn't making you happy, if it's not something you actually want to do or love, then wow, you're spending a third of your day on something you're resisting and don't like. You might have gotten used to it, but just because it's familiar doesn't mean it feels good. Feeling frustrated because your career doesn't make you happy can really stick with you. It won't leave you alone until you find a career that your heart and mind truly want to do. Career matters a lot. So no matter how old you are, whether you're still in school or already working, please pay attention to the idea of finding fulfillment in your career. Take note of my suggestions, because it's important to have a sense of purpose. The biggest hope I have is to see everyone happy. Honestly, I went on a bit at the start to make you all realize how important this is. You can totally just pick any job you want, and that's your choice, but deep down, I know you'll periodically look at your work and feel disappointed. You can't escape that. So if you can do it right, just stick with it. It's really simple, and I'll guide you through this aspect. Choosing a career, what does that even mean? Pay attention. Whether you're just starting out or have been working for years, this is really important. The method is simple. Stop asking yourself what you like. Seriously, drop that question. A lot of people ask this and struggle to find an answer. I'm not saying it doesn't work for some, but I've seen many folks around me who just can't figure it out, and I've heard plenty say the same. I don't know what they like, but when I hear this, I just say it straight to them. Let's drop the topic and stop asking ourselves what we like. Instead, ask yourself what makes you feel energized. Remember that? I feel positive when I do something, and I've actually written that down on the screen. Now I need to underline it, circle it, and highlight it. The key is, I feel energized when I do something. Why highlight do? Because it's important for you all. There's a bit of confusion here. A lot of people say they feel good when they eat, but let's forget about that. Eating isn't about work. Come on. Many people also say they feel really positive when they travel. But let's be clear, traveling is about enjoyment. Please just drop all those verbs related to eating and enjoying in this context. I just want you to understand the point I'm making. I feel energized when I do things. Think about what truly excites you and pay attention to your life. If you do, you'll discover some things you truly love. Make sure to underline that. It's important to notice those things and jot them down because they're valuable insights in everyone's life. You need to find that one thing you love to do. Trust me, it's definitely there. It's just that either you're not looking for it, or you started looking but got discouraged and gave up. Think about it. If you have 24 hours in a day and you sleep for about 8 hours, that leaves you with around 16 hours. You've got stuff to do during those 16 hours. Some days you're busy, some days not so much, but you're always doing something. Over a year, that's about 365 days, and in 10 years, that's over 3,600 days. So in 20 years, that's over 7,000 days. Are you telling me that in those 7,000 days, there's not one moment when you felt truly happy or energized? Are you going to do something? Of course. Don't let it get buried in the ashes of time. Bring it to the surface. Don't let it stay asleep. Wake it up. Listen up. That's the essence of your life. Let me give you an example. Once, I met someone during a trip to a remote region. This person was educated and had a mindset just like most people, which means they went to school like everyone else. When you're around 17 or 18, you move to the city to go to college, or you study to become an engineer. After you graduate, you start working like everyone else, staying in the city and applying for jobs. Then you hit a crisis. You're not happy with your career. I think a lot of you might not be at that crisis level, but you can definitely relate to those feelings. It feels like when I go to work, I'm just like a robot. I remember in the first few months, or even the first couple of years, it was kind of fun. But by the second or third year, I started to feel like I was losing my spark. I was just going through the motions, you know? I mean, I was making money, even had a little extra to get by, but it just didn't feel fulfilling at all. It's like you're just living day to day without really thinking about anything. One day, out of the blue, some friends in the city were like, "Hey, where are you from? We haven't heard anything from you." They suggested I should go back to my hometown sometime, just to hang out. It caught me off guard, and even though I hadn't really thought about it, their words stuck with me. So, eventually I decided to ask for some time off to go home because this conversation I had with someone I met on a trip just made me realize a few things. I didn't really catch all the details at the time, so I can only share what I definitely remember. So it was like this gathering or something back in the countryside, and I brought some friends along. We took a bus to my hometown, and once we got there, we just hung out and ate a lot. My friends were amazed by the beauty of the place, the mountains, the streams, and all the greenery. A few of them were like, "Hey, you should take us around and show us more." I went into the forest and streams, and it was so much fun. Oh man, I remember this moment with that friend. Gosh, you reminded me that when we were kids, you used to go into the woods every day and splash around in the streams. You were always so happy. You'd disappear into the woods, and sometimes your parents couldn't find you because you were always off playing. But then, once you started high school, you got really focused on your studies. After that, when you moved to the city, it hit you hard how much you missed those days. I've never been to the stream or the forest again. My friend said something that totally shocked me. Like, it was a sign from above reminding me to revisit those things I used to love and be passionate about. After hearing that suggestion, my friend was all excited, saying, "Come on, let's go." So we grabbed a few buddies, packed some snacks and drinks, and headed into the woods and by the stream. Sitting there, starting to drink and eat, reliving childhood memories. He was having a beer, probably the first time in a while, and it was such a blast. After that, he began to reflect on his life, realizing that as an engineer, when he compared his current work to the adventurous stuff he used to do in the woods and streams, the two feelings were just so different. It made him wonder if he should change careers or look for something else to do. I'm a tour guide, but I specialize in nature tours. You might be wondering about that question, and you keep thinking about it until one day it feels like fate. You wake up and realize you're tired of the city and need to do something different. So you probably end up cashing in your insurance or something like that. I can't really remember. But that day we talked a lot. My brother and I sat and chatted for hours, and there was so much information flying around that I caught bits and pieces of it. I'm really struck by this thing about getting sprayed with glue. I keep thinking about it, and this old guy just kept talking on and on. It all kind of flowed by, So now when I share it with you all, I want to be honest. There are things I heard that are a bit vague, and I won't dwell on those. I'll focus on the stuff that's more real. Yeah, it seems like it was about cashing in on insurance or something. So with that money, it's like I can finally live for my passion, Live for what I love. I've been diving into stuff related to experiences in the countryside, like hiking up mountains and trekking through hills and all that. It's been a while since I last saw you. Back then, you were just getting started and I didn't even know what your service was called. I'm not sure if you've succeeded or not, but I'm really just interested in one thing. When you tell me about your experiences, I feel like your plan is really about you living life, not just existing. I can see it in your eyes and the passion you have. Just think about it. If you can talk to a stranger for 4 hours about a topic, you must really love it. Otherwise, a conversation would only last 15 or 20 minutes, right? So, I see you're really happy and full of joy. Honestly, I wish you all the best in fully embracing your passion. Whether you succeed or not, who knows, but keep going every day. I woke up and realized that today, I want to live exactly how I want. And I'm telling you, no amount of money can buy that feeling. Honestly, you can't achieve that state just because of some outside influence. You have to feel it within yourself. That's what makes it priceless. It reminded me of a story where people wake up every morning without needing an alarm. This is the kind of work where, even if they're just eating simple meals, they're still happy. Not that much. I've already told you to learn more about marketing and check out some social media clips. I think your product is really appealing, especially since you have unique stuff from the wild and remote areas that no one knows about. That's what makes your product special. Work hard at it, don't just focus on travel and experiences. Expand into content creation and editing. If you hit those areas hard, you'll attract customers and make a living in this field. Trust me, I know business. I know that if I equip you with these things, you'll have the potential to succeed and live your passion every day, doing something you loved as a kid, wandering through forests and streams without ever getting bored. So, think about it, why would I be jealous of you? Now, let's connect this to a principle I mentioned earlier. Instead of asking yourself what you like, reflect on your life and revisit your childhood. Think back over the thousands of days you've lived, while some people have lived for tens of thousands of days. Try to figure out what you truly love and what you truly want to do. We often negotiate in life, but I'm not talking about haggling over prices. Some people think that if they get older, they can't change anymore, right? But there are others who are still young and full of potential. Even if you haven't achieved much in your career, you might hesitate to make a change and just stick with a job you don't really like, thinking, well, at least I'm making money to get by. Sometimes the pay isn't even that great, but you keep telling yourself, okay, this works for me. Everyone has their own choices, right? Honestly, I'm not in a position to judge your life. But since you asked, I'll say this. Never ignore that feeling of looking back at your life with disappointment. If you notice signs of change and you're feeling that way, please do the exercise I mentioned right away. Ask yourself if you feel energized when doing something. Reflect on your life. You'll find plenty of answers. Sometimes you don't really need to change much. If you're doing a job and then you take a slight turn, there are often opportunities that are really close to what you're currently doing. I think that kind of thing isn't rare in life. So, let's say you're a programmer working on a project for some company. After you tackle my exercise, you realize you feel really happy every time you're in a meeting, especially when you're guiding new folks. You stand there sharing your experience with them, and you notice that during those moments you're genuinely enjoying yourself. It's like you've become an accidental mentor, right? Then, when you step back and think about it, you realize, wow, I actually like this. If you enjoy teaching IT, then it's really just about getting started. Don't you think this aligns well with what you're doing in IT right now? You might learn a little about teaching, or even just grab a camera, record your lessons, and upload them to platforms like YouTube or other social media. That way, people can learn from you. It's a way to share your passion, and as more people get to know you, you might become a bit of a recognized figure in the field. Sometimes, just a bit of recognition can lead to opportunities where places invite you to teach, right? Or you could expand your career through things related to that influence. Oh man, there are tons of opportunities out there. The key is to do your homework for me, okay? Please ask yourself some deep questions about your life and figure out what makes you feel energized when you do it. Just do it, not just goofing off or enjoying life without purpose. Answer it, and your loved ones will really appreciate it if you're serious about finding those answers. That's all I wanted to say. Thanks for tuning in today. I really appreciate you all listening. Take care, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye!